We'd like to ask you to stop what you're doing for a moment and take the time to really ingest what we're about to read. Jimmy's going to read it.
Yeah, it's a message that all of us could really benefit from in these fast-paced days, often piled high with work, bills, just running around in general. Listen to this. Life is to be enjoyed now. Tomorrow will wait. Each day is a celebration. Each day is a chance to get a running jump before hitting the slip and slide, a chance to jump in the leaves, a chance to roll down a hill, a chance to dance in the rain, a chance to take in all the small things. We should not wait until some future date or event to live. Living happens now. Words to live by, I think you'd probably agree with that. Those words written by a young lady named Heather Davis Johnson, who was diagnosed with colon cancer about 7 years ago.
Now, Heather spoke those wise words at an educational seminar at Johns Hopkins Kimmel Cancer Center. Heather had aspirations to publish those words and others in a memoir once she was cancer-free, but that diagnosis never happened. Heather's fight ended on January 1st, 2016.
But that's not the last that we hear from Heather. Her dad joins us now to explain. This is Jerry Davis of Millsboro. Jerry, thank you so much for coming in.
Jimmy, thank you.
Okay, so we want to talk about all this real quick. First, though, tell us about Heather.
Well, Heather was a lot like many of your viewers. She was a mother, a wife, a daughter, a sister, and a friend. Yeah. And she was a suburban mom. She lived up in Harford County, Maryland, and had two little girls, Katie and Grace, and was living a good life. And suddenly everything changed.
Yeah, it changed because of a diagnosis of stage 4 colon cancer. Tell us about that process.
It's really a tragic story, Lisa. Heather was pregnant with her second little girl, Katie, and she was experiencing some symptoms, and you know, it's a little graphic, you know, stool in the blood in the stool and things like that. She went to her OBGYN and said, you know, I've got these concerns, and the OBGYN doctor says, no, you're too young to have cancer. So it continued. Katie was born safely, but even after the pregnancy, Heather still had symptoms. She went back to the OBGYN again, and the doctor said, no, you're too young to have cancer. The doctor's husband was a gastroenterologist. Heather went to see him. He also dismissed her and said, don't worry about it. Several months later, still having the symptoms, she insisted on the colonoscopy. She went and had the colonoscopy, and that's when they discovered stage 4. Colon cancer.
First, we're sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing the story. I know it's got to be difficult. I guess things really changed for the family after the diagnosis, finally.
Yeah, the diagnosis happened on November 30th, 2010, which happened to be my wife's birthday.
Oh my.
So Heather had to call us and tell us that she had been diagnosed, and that it shattered, of course, Heather and her husband, Steve. The girls were too young to understand. Yeah. My wife, of course, was shattered too. But then, after the tears and the upset, Heather was up like the next day or the day after and was showering, getting herself ready, and she looked in the mirror and she said, I am a warrior. I'm going to fight this. I'm not going to let cancer beat me. And that's what she dedicated the following months to.
Yeah.
And she did that by vowing to write down things about what she was going through.
Right, Lisa. And as her treatment continued, she felt like I think by dealing with the stress and things, she dealt with that by writing a journal, first in caringbridge.com and then later on Facebook. And she wrote in great detail and established a lot of followers during that period. So yeah, and then, you know, this was going on for a number of years, and the volume of writings continued. So she decided that when she was cancer-free, she was going to publish this as a book, and that it would help other cancer patients, their caregivers, and just interested people, and perhaps maybe even save a couple lives along the way.
Yeah. She didn't get the opportunity, but you followed up.
Yes, when she went into hospice care, and it became apparent to us that she was not going to make it. She was not going to have this dream of hers come true.
Right.
So I sat with her and I said, Heather, I promise you that I will make this dream come true for you. And after she passed, I dedicated the next 2 years to putting this book together. So I would like to show that to you.
Called the Starfish Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
Where does the name come from?
It's a good question. if you're aware of a starfish, if a starfish loses part of an appendage, it can grow it back.
Right.
Well, Heather knew that she was going to be losing part of her liver because it was diseased. So she had this picture in her mind that after the diseased liver, part of the liver was removed, then it would regenerate healthy tissue like a starfish.
Yeah.
So this was her story of hopeful regeneration and health.
What do you hope readers will take away from Heather's book?
I think a number of things. First of all, Heather's message was, first of all, get screened. You're never too young for cancer. You're never too old. If you have a family history, get it done. That's one thing. Another thing was hope. Don't give up hope. And more than anything, I think Heather's message was, be your own advocate. Be your strongest advocate. If you're unsatisfied with your doctor, find another one. If your gut is telling you something, listen to your gut. Listen to your instincts and fight. Fight for yourself. No one's going to fight harder for you than you.
Right. Man, she wrote a lot. You said this was therapeutic.
For her, yes, it was.
Goodness. So you think she'd be proud of this?
I think she would be very, very proud that the word is getting out here, that other people are listening, and that hopefully people are going to get screened and have their disease caught in time if they do indeed have it.
This must have been an incredible ride for you to go through and do this.
To compile and edit the book?
Yeah.
Yeah, in some ways it was cathartic, and in other ways it was very difficult to do, to relive 5 years of her treatment. But as I said off camera, there are parts of it that are going to make you laugh, and she had very, very witty, very, very great sense of humor, and especially toward the end, there were parts that will make you cry.
Jeremiah Davis of Millsboro, thank you so much. And thank you for the book. I'm looking forward to
Thank you.
reading it.
No,
The
thank you
Starfish
very much.
Chronicles is the name of the book. It's available on Amazon.